Hey everyone, what is up? My name is Candis Dyer and this is Canna Corner. We are broadcasted live every Monday at 7 o'clock from the Candis Dyer Facebook page. And we are also live over on the Relevant app. Today, as y'all can see, I have a special co-host, Wendy Love Edge. Hey, how you doing, love?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for inviting me. I love coming on Canna Corner.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I know that we got a lot of stuff going on with Relevant and a lot of stuff going on with the Wendy Love Edge show. And so I
Yes.
was like, we got to get you on to let everybody know what's
Yes.
going on. So hell yeah, I always love having you on and working with you. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way. It's great. It's a great match, I think.
Heck yeah. I think we just like
Yeah.
have the same like vibe and spirit,
Hmm.
you kind of meet those people and you just like click. Me and Farrah were like that.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
we're
I
and
love it when that happens. And
right,
it's so cool that it can happen now, not just in person, but online. This has been going on for a while now where you can really click with someone that you maybe have never even met
right.
and really do great things together. So it's exciting.
Definitely, definitely the age of the internet, man. You can connect with anyone in a snap of a finger. It's
Yes,
and then
for
it's
sure.
so amazing because like you said, we can connect with those other amazing people that we would have never met before. Like
Right.
it's crazy how internet's just went boom.
Yeah, the way it's pulled us all together and made new connections. I don't know. I really believe, though, sometimes if you're meant to meet someone, even though it seems impossible, right? It
Right.
it will happen.
For sure. For
I
sure.
mean, I feel like, the universe is always working in our favor. It may not always feel that way. I mean, I've
Right.
had some recent challenges and I'm like, what the heck? Like, really?
And it
And
seems to like when it rains, it pours, like everything
mhm,
happens. But then you find that you're growing out of that. Like you learn
yes.
and
Hmm.
as long as you use that, to learn and grow and try to do better, then that can work very well for you. So,
Hmm.
celebrate that storm because
Yes.
you're gonna grow,
Yes.
you're gonna grow. And sometimes you're like, I don't need to grow no more. Like
Right.
later you'll
I've
be like,
already
I'm so glad I
yeah,
did.
right. I've already learned this lesson. I remember this, but I feel like you really didn't because it wouldn't have come up again.
Right.
So
Exactly,
so
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
You'll
The
get it,
the more
you'll
you
get it
can look
better
at
the
it that
next
way.
time or the next
Mhm.
time, but
Right.
you're gonna have to get through it eventually, like, or it'll keep coming
Right.
around. Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey,
I'm so
Michael.
excited that
Hey,
you're going
hey.
to be doing.
Sorry, I had to say hi
Who's
to
that?
people.
Is that Mike Ung or is that a different Michael?
Michael Weinstein,
Oh
Ray,
yes.
yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
and Brian and David are in the chat. So
Excellent. Hi everyone. Happy Hanukkah too. It's Festival of
yes,
Lights.
happy Hanukkah.
So,
I'm not like familiar with it. Would you like
uh-huh.
to like discuss about what Hanukkah is all about and you know
Oh,
for for the people the viewers out there that don't know?
sure. If you'd like. I'm not gonna say I'm not an expert, but I
Right.
did grow up Jewish, and we celebrated Hanukkah. It's actually not a big holiday, so it kind of became a big holiday because at this time of year, Christmas, especially here in the U.S., is so big,
Right.
and I feel like that's kind of what happened to Hanukkah. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the Festival of Lights season. Of miracles, really. It's about celebrating miracles and the story goes, I won't go into the whole thing, but basically, uh, the Jewish people had enough oil to last for one night in a temple where they were, and they needed the light, and it lasted for eight
Wow.
miraculously, to help them through. And so we're celebrating that. And always Jewish holidays are kind of like celebrating overcoming someone who's trying to obliterate them. overcoming it, and then let's eat. That's pretty much
Right,
that's
right.
pretty much what it is. But it's a joyous holiday, and it's really fun for children because you give a gift every night. Of course, the gifts are usually mostly practical items
Right.
like socks and underwear and things that you need, and then maybe one other thing, but it's fun, and you're supposed to also have things made with oil, so chocolate or dabs,
Wow.
or
Yeah,
right,
that's
anything
awesome.
made with oil is celebratory. And yeah, so we light a candle, we add another candle every night till we get to 8. And it's a nice thing to do. For a while I would think, well, if my kids are gone now, and my wife is not Jewish, right? So should I really light this menorah? But I'm compelled to do it because we've been doing it for centuries, and it's
Right.
just tradition. It's tradition.
And it
And
reminds you of those, like we were just talking about, trials and tribulations that
mhm,
people go through. And, it reminds you of that, and it helps you to carry on and be strong throughout the rest of the
mhm,
year. I mean, makes you
I think
step
so.
back and
Mhm.
think about everything,
Yes.
everything,
Yeah. We could all
comparing
use some
it.
miracles. We could all use some miracles in our life.
Heck yeah, we
and
can.
focusing on the light, so and oil, chocolates, and like I said, we make potato pancakes, so that's another
Oh,
symbolic thing,
yeah.
or donuts, like anything made with oil. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd never asked anyone about that before. So I think that's cool and very important for all of us to know, because just because one person celebrates Christmas and another person celebrates, if you're friends, out of respect, you should, want to know about their culture and their beliefs
Mhm.
and whether you believe in them or not. And just so that you can get to know that person a little better and support them because they believe in it. Like, so that's cool that we got to share what Hanukkah is about and talk about it with our viewers. That's awesome. I know Michael is Jewish in this chat, so oh, I may have froze a minute.
Yes.
Sorry, y'all. I think I froze for
The
a
more we
second.
know about each other, yeah, I think maybe for a second. Um, but you're right. It just increase celebrate the same things.
Right,
I want to know about other cultures and let
right.
everyone know more.
Exactly. And if you're like me, I believe that the cultures kind of all came from the same place. Like they all kind of seem to go together in a way. Like,
Mhm,
that they were taken and separated from one story, because they all have that miracles that
mhm,
happen, and so you should want to learn
mhm.
about all that and celebrate it with your friends. Heck yeah. So happy Hanukkah,
Yeah, and
everybody.
we're more alike than we are different. That's what
Right.
I always think. When I hear the stories and how similar they are, it's like we're more alike than anything.
Heck yeah. So did you want to talk to our viewers about the Wendy Love Edge show and tell them where they can find that and the exciting stuff that's coming up?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you. Well, for the big news is that Candis Dyer will be having a regular segment every week on the show. And I'm so excited to see what you're doing with that. And it's called Mile High News. And she'll be talking about legalization and news in cannabis each week. And so I'm really thrilled to have you on the show every week now,
I can't
and
wait.
really, yeah, making that contribution so people can know what's happening, because things are moving kind of quickly,
Right.
in the cannabis world.
For
And so
sure.
there's lots of stuff to talk about. And then I have a new co-host, and his name is Brandon Lee. He
Yay.
did co-host a show with me not too long ago, and he's an announcer here in Fayetteville for the Razorbacks, and also a DJ on 104.9 The X.
Heck yeah.
So I am really honored and thrilled that he
Right.
is going to be part of our team and co-hosting the show. And then we're going to have a new intro this season. it's a spoof on the Brady Bunch, and Candace is playing Marsha, of course, everyone connected with the show is gonna play a different part. I'm gonna be Mrs. Brady.
I cannot wait to see how
And
it turns out.
I
It's
can't
so
wait.
cool.
I know everyone's working on their parts, and then our editor Flint is going to be putting it together. And we even have Alice, who actually is not really connected with the show, but it's someone who I saw on Instagram. She's the Shatter Fairy, and she's perfect. I think she's going to be perfect.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
She's amazing too. I've seen a few of her stuff on Instagram as well. She's sweet.
Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And the show is going to be a little shorter. We've just found that people seem to dip out, between 35, 40 minutes with the show. So why keep producing 60 minutes when people are, everyone's attention span's a little shorter. And so we thought we'd shorten it up a little bit, make it a little tighter. And so I can't believe it's season 6. Like I just can't believe it's already season 6.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you've been doing great. And you want to tell everybody about, where they can find your show and how they can.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So you can watch it if you're in Fayetteville, Arkansas. You can turn on the TV and watch it on Cox and Uverse and Ozark Go. It's FPTV. And it's let's see, AT&T Uverse is channel 99, and I think it's 208 on Cox. I'm not sure about Ozark Go, but if you need that, I can let you know. It's also on YouTube and the Weed Tube, and then also on Mountain High 10 Radio.
Yes.
They play the video version also on Facebook. So there's several places you can watch it. You can also listen on WJAE 420 at 420 Central. There'll be the first airing on Wednesdays. And the first one is not going to be until January. So it seems like so far away, but then at the same time, it's not.
No, it's coming up fast for.
Yes, for sure. And then you can also listen on the Relevant app. You can listen on KM 420 radio on Sundays. You can listen in Massachusetts on Activate Radio in Boston, and in Worcester, Massachusetts on Unity Radio. And then in Fayetteville, Arkansas, also on kpsq.org, 97.3 FM. And those are, I believe that's everyone. I'm so honored and excited that it airs so many places.
Right.
And we're always looking to add more stations as well.
No, it's all about education, and the bigger reach we can get, the better. Like that's Absolutely. What we need for sure.
And of course you can listen on any podcasting format as well. Apple Podcasts, Anchor, it's on all of them. So, and if it's not on the one you listen to, let me know and we'll add it. It's pretty easy.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So it's exciting. I think season 6 we're gonna shift a little bit also and really focus on lifestyle choices and plant medicine, awesome. More so than the alternative medicine stuff that we've been doing a lot of. So
right.
So that's a little shift too. Brandon's a sports guy, right? So I thought, well, we can do more about exercise and things that we haven't focused closely on.
Right. Yes, that's important too. I mean, a lot of people don't, and I thought it was funny because people will be like, oh, you're a health nut, and be like, yeah, I advocate for cannabis instead of pills. Mm-hmm. Like, what was your surprise? Like that I'd, want to learn more about other alternative meds too, because they lived how long? Way longer than us back in the day, and that's all they had was plant medicine. And now we're dying of cancer and all these things that weren't around back then. And I truly believe it's the vitamin deficiency from our endocannabinoid system.
Well, there's that. And then also when the government took control of the food supply.
Yes.
Gave
us that garbage food.
Right. Convenience food, processed food, that all became really popular starting in the 50s. And look at what's happened with the amount of cancer and problems that people have. I think a lot of it stems from the food supply, and really the only way to fix it is to learn to really cook and really look at all the nutrients. And you're right, adding, I mean, we had cannabis in our diet all up until prohibition.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so that's a nutrient that we've all been lacking.
Yeah.
You know, so
Like
yeah.
calcium and iron. I mean, if you don't get those, we have an endocannabinoid system. It's built for cannabinoids. And when they took the
Yes.
cannabinoids away, it's like an iron deficiency or a
Mhm.
calcium deficiency.
Right. And we see all these weird illnesses that they can't explain, but there's a whole system that they don't teach doctors and nurses and health
Right.
professionals about. And a lot of people were completely deficient in this system that has a hand in like everything. I mean, it's responsible for homeostasis, you know. It's just
Exactly.
crazy. It's craziness
It
when you think
is.
about it, you
It
know.
is.
So that lifestyle choice of using plant medicine and really looking at food is huge. I mean, those are health remedies, you
For
know.
sure. For sure. Adele is trying. Okay. I know it's 7:20.
Okay.
I see you in here, Adele. I am fixing to add you. Adela Wisdom. Adela is what I said instead of adding Adela.
Oh no.
Heck yeah. So
You're
she's
like,
been
I said to you before the show, you have like central control in front of you with all these
right.
phones.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk and type at the same time. I'm waiting for you. Okay. Awesome. She's in here waiting for us to let her in. And I know that you know a little bit about her.
Mhm.
And I've had her on my show before. She's here to update us on her court date coming up soon. And I will let her tell y'all all about that. Admitting you now, love. Here she is.
We should have that little music going.
Right?
Do, do, do.
Hey,
Hello.
Adela.
Wow, I'm here. I'm on the other screen too. So let me close that. My apologies.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I seen you in there be like, I'm in here. I'm like, oh shoot. Hold on. Hopefully you're still in there. It shows you're still in there.
Yeah, I just went ahead and logged on and figured I'll try this again. So
Heck
hi,
yeah.
everybody. How are y'all doing this evening?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good considering the weather's beautiful, despite the fact that it's almost December in Missouri. So I'm happy.
Right?
Right.
That weather change, like Thanksgiving Day, like the next day, I was like, whoop, December's here, like winter's coming because it just
Mhm.
dropped. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Adela, I know that you are here because you are facing a cannabis charge in the state of Missouri. And I'm going to let you have the floor and kind of just tell everybody about what's going on and what happened. And then we'll talk about your court date coming up.
All right. Well, thank you. Yes, thank you, ladies, for having me on. Well, this has been going on and on and on forever. So I don't want to constantly talk about like the raid and everything, but let me just start with the fact that they are going forward with the jury trial, and they set it for pre-trial and jury trial for December or for March 30th, 2022.
Right.
I don't believe it's going to be that date, but I don't know. We did ask for a continuance, but the prosecutor objected and said that they weren't going to come to a deal. So he wanted to go forward with a jury trial. So I wasn't a deal that I was trying to ask why I was asking for a continuance. We were asking for a continuance because there's no evidence.
Right.
You haven't given me any testing that what you took allegedly from my property is a controlled substance or anything. I wasn't here. You took me away in handcuffs and you proceeded to raid my property. I wasn't present. I have no idea what they took. They won't allow our attorneys to see the evidence in the evidence room. There's no test that states this is marijuana, specifically marijuana over the 0.3%
Right.
because they created the bureaucracy, this arbitrary number that divided this beautiful plant.
Yes.
Therefore, they shifted the okay. So, like, here's a prime example: cannabis arrests create what we call an affirmative defense. So, an affirmative defense means that you now have to prove that you complied with the law, because usually they have to prove without a shadow of a doubt that you broke the law.
Right.
You know. But you're saying, well, hold on, there's this law. Let me prove to you that I complied with the law. That means your rage, your arrest, and your incarceration, your bond, all totally justified, because your argument doesn't come into play until a jury trial. So I kind of forgot what my whole point or my tangent was there. But I got it. Back on track. We shifted that and we said, okay, so if you allegedly took marijuana, cannabis, sativa L, the slang term would be marijuana or hemp. The semantic,
Right.
The court terminology we'd like to use is cannabis, sativa L. If you're alleging you took that from my property, was it the cannabis that falls under the controlled substance list?
Right.
Because there is now two different cannabises. So people will argue, well, why didn't you have your license? Whatever that is, you may find to be. The medical marijuana program in the state of Missouri doesn't cover hemp. You are not allowed to grow hemp under that 3% arbitrary percentage number with the medical marijuana card. But if you do not have an industrialized hemp license, it's not a criminal act.
Right.
So in the state of Missouri, you can grow hemp if you have a license. Is that pretty
Yes.
much okay? And if you don't have a license and you're growing hemp, what is the typical path? Is it a fine or is it?
So I think this is all kind of a new bureaucracy. But ironically, so you know as well as I do that cannabis is part of America's part of America's history. We wouldn't be where we are without that plant.
Right.
So with that being said, Missouri was featured in the Hemp for His video. Actually, specifically this county that I live in, which was Dixieline County, which was a Dixieline Farms, which was a bunch of different counties. They were the largest producers of industrialized hemp for the Navy. And so they created a statute, Missouri Reservoir Statute 263250, which has the county commissioner has a non-punitive path to the destruction of cannabis plants. So they're and it protects the landowners that says the sheriff is not supposed to step foot in your property to destroy those plants or to remove them until you've been given a 15-day letter by the county commissioner to destroy such plants and you refuse to do so. So number one, they had a non-punitive reservoir, a statute in place if they thought that something was amiss or awry.
Right.
But I think it was zealous prosecution. You raided me once, you had no evidence, nothing was seized. You raided us again. There was no marijuana, cannabis seized from this property. I need people to understand that. There was no flowers seized from this property. They took allegedly 2-foot tall plants. We were raided in June.
Right.
And these were outdoor plants. See, I'm going to use science in my
Yeah,
book.
and you were telling me that this outdoor plant grows wild all over Missouri all the time, right?
That's why we have a statute from the county commissioner. And so they refused to do that. They went to a full-on SWAT style, military style raid using the National Guard, a federally funded dual.
What a waste of money.
I know, what a waste, my gosh. Wow.
Helicopters, the local sheriff's department on not one, but 2 raids. And so I think they're just looking for a guilty verdict at this point, because it's our understanding that when you deal with a dual deputized and federally funded task force, that if they fail to get that conviction, there is a percentage of this money that has to be reimbursed or put back in. So, you know, here's an interesting statistic.
And
Wendy
let's
I
talk
told
about
you- I
what
told you
most
this last
people
time.
would do though, Adela. Most people in your position are scared and shitting their pants because they are getting 11 years put in their face that if you don't plead guilty, we're giving you the maximum sentence of 11 years. And most people don't have, number one, don't have the money to fight this, because you aren't innocent until proven guilty. Like they say, you're guilty until you yourself prove yourself innocent in this country. And they, most people would be like, I'll take the deal, take the three years, because they're scared. They're going up against, like you said, a SWAT team and all this stuff, you know. And the fact that you are not being intimidated and that you are fighting this case, I totally 100% commend you that you are sticking with it. I know it's got to be horrible on you, just knowing that this dreaded case is coming, and then they keep moving it out and moving it out, so you can't ever even have closure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. One of the most amazing statistics is I can't find a marijuana jury trial in this state.
Right.
So there's a lot of pot attorneys that charge you right off the bat $25,000 to go to a bench trial. That is a trial with a judge and you.
Yeah.
And the judge has no ability to vote with their consciousness. They can't use jury nullification. There's no jury immunity for a judge. The judge is going to say, you're guilty. And that's it. So and this is happening to this moment. And are you kidding me? So we have no precedent set in this case because no attorneys are willing to do this. And the same pot attorneys are also writing the very restrictive rules and regulations. So here's something, Wendy. Did you know that when they passed the medical marijuana ordinance, the law, the initiative, the whatever you want to call it in the state, they made it a constitutional amendment.
Okay.
So they're charging you in this state for a constitutional right. So it's not a right, it's a privilege. Because those of us that are too sick, too ill, can't afford to comply are criminals, while everybody else is not, because they had the money to do so. These bills were created off the backs of the sick and dying that didn't have a voice, and now they don't have access. And so we're right back to this entire bit. But I think what we need to focus on going forward is this bureaucracy. And is this going to be a new way coming forward on how people are rated and arrested? Like I talked about Zachary Minor, he just got sentenced to 2 10-year sentences in the state of Mississippi. He won't be out until 2031 for edibles.
My God.
Now I want to know, did they test the edibles to see if they were above the 3%? Because they've been baked.
Right.
You tell me, I really doubt they are, but he's charged with
I heard
trafficking.
they can't tell how much is in there, can they?
They probably, I don't think they have the way.
Yeah, they
don't.
Yeah,
I mean, legalization, all these rules just create more ways to arrest people and cause harm, especially for, like you said, the sick, the impoverished, you know, who don't have anyone to fight for them, you know, and so I don't know, we'll see. There's no precedent. Maybe you'll be able to set the precedent with this case. That's I think what we all hope.
Well, at the very end of it all, I've said it numerous times, and I'm like officially making this statement here. I am a federally recognized Native American from the Cherokee tribe of Telliqua, Oklahoma, and if I lose by some event, which I don't see happening, I do plan on appealing this, not just to the Missouri Supreme Court, but to the federal Supreme Court as a religious sacrament.
Right.
This has happened, you've seen under the guise of the Native American churches in the past, and the judges have all ruled that they have, had this been a Native American person coming forward, not a church, they would have been protected, like peyote is protected, which is also a Schedule I controlled substance. So if I could do anything, then that's what I'm going to do. And I don't see them being able to deny my Religious Freedom Defense Act, which is the 1978 Native American, Religious Freedom Act. And if they do, well, then I definitely plan on reaching out to the Cherokee Nation and asking them to come forward with some legal support and some legal help.
So let's talk to everybody in Missouri, shouting out to everybody in Missouri. Y'all follow Adela Wisdom on Facebook. Her next court date is March 30th, 2022. But like she said, keep watch, because this is what they like to do. So you can't get people at your trial, is they like to say, oh, today, and make you go all the way up there and then say, oh, not today. We're going to reschedule this for another day. And it makes it so hard because you want people there to have your back. And that's what we want to do for you. How do they get a hold of you to be at this court date if this is the one to have your back in solidarity and standing with you for your case?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned it because I do believe that court support is essential and vital to ending cannabis prohibition. I know I myself have sat in over 100 marijuana trials from the state to a federal level. So I know that it works. And I know that I've numerous times worn the solidarity ribbon. We've even had it banned from court at one time. So I'm going to recommend
Wow.
people wear a green mask to show
Hell
your
yeah.
solidarity. And so I do have a website, adelawisdom.com, and you can also follow me on social media. I'm going to be creating a Facebook event. But, you know, everybody should go to court support and bring your family, bring your friends, bring your children, and let them see how this judicial system works.
Yes.
Let the judge know there's people watching. Let the prosecutor know that these evil, you know, tactics that they want to use are not going to work, and they're going to have to be held responsible for it. And I also want to reach out to anybody who has a media license that I am going to ask them to personally request to have media access to my court date.
Heck
So
yeah.
if they could go live, I'm going to give my full permission to do so. And it'd be really nice.
I wonder
the
if
cannabis
Mr.
person
Bobby
would.
Rodrigo could help out with that. Let me talk to him because I know that he's got a hookup for media and stuff. I know that we were going to be.
It's going to have to be legit. You're going to have your license.
Right,
you
right.
have to go through the proper paperwork.
Exactly, exactly.
It's something that I was planning to do. It's actually like $99 or something. It's not expensive to do it.
Exactly.
And you know, we could both do it, Candace. We're both in the meet. You know,
go up there and just
You can also ask for, and you might not be able to go live, but a lot of people due to COVID, my courtroom does a lot of WebEx, which is court, virtual court. As somebody who would be a media, you'd probably be able to get a media press pass to watch it on the WebEx as well. And I just think it's really important for people to have that. So yeah, please follow me, come to court support. I will be updating people. Do know that I do plan on filing some really critical motions between then and now, because I want to make sure and affirm that I'm going to get my defenses that I want, from religious defense to I'm going to do a motion on 263250. Why didn't I have a 15-day letter to destroy said plants, right? And I also want people to be there to see the injustices, like the videos I had to seal on my own because they were no evidentiary value of just me being naked, being recorded by law enforcement drones where they didn't have a warrant to do so, or just all of these other atrocities that happen because of a plant. When you see child molesters being let out and sentenced to 10 years and then having time served, and then they get to walk out of the courtroom that day.
And all these
and
rape
people
tests
from
that don't have the money to test, but yet you're wasting all this helicopter money and drone money and SWAT money and on the plant, but you can't test some rape kits in the back of your office there. That's crazy.
Yeah, we have 6,000 untested rape kits in this state, and we've severely underfunded and under budgeted the public defense or the public attorney's office. That since 2017, they've been putting people on a wait list on this state. So they didn't have counsel.
We see where the money's going in your state. We see where that money is being put into, like, their true colors are showing right now.
They really are. They really
are. Priorities. Women always are last on the list, unless they're trying to prosecute you for a plant, apparently.
Unfortunately, but these people need to learn that us women are their mothers and their sisters and their daughters, and we're not just women. Like, you know, they should care. They should.
Well,
but
Missouri is #1 for women's incarcerated, not just in the world. I mean, not just in the nation, but in the world. So I'm an advocate for judicial reform. I'm an advocate for absolutely repealing cannabis from the Controlled Substance Act. Nobody belongs in jail for a plant. And, you know, we really need to come together and be with the people that are fighting their court cases and give them support and solidarity and help them make precedent. We need not just fight for them after they've been incarcerated, but we need to prevent incarceration. We need to prevent law enforcement from using their monies to go after people for low-level,
Decriminalization.
non-violent, victimless
Yep.
crimes.
Yeah.
Decriminalization is for people and patients, and legalization is for the industry. So
Exactly.
people need to read the initiatives and ballots coming forward, and we need to not let hemp make marijuana illegal. I know that sounds really funky, but it's one plant, and we need to use a science-based approach coming forward. Otherwise, we're going to keep repeating this rhetoric and propaganda that we've been regurgitating
100%. Yes.
since the 70s.
Isn't it? It's interesting that they lumped hemp in with the rest when they started prohibition.
Yeah, like I said.
But then they separated, you know.
Yeah.
Marijuana made hemp illegal, and hemp is now making marijuana illegal.
It's
So
crazy.
it's a sad aspect, but this, you know, and I'm going to challenge everybody who's listening to do some history on cannabis and understand where this arbitrary number that divided this plant came from. You want to ask yourself, who are the scientists in America that did that? Because it started in France.
Right.
And it started a long time ago, and it started with a 0.08. And they got it down to, because they had a monopoly on a seed.
Right.
And that's where this starts from. Who
And
are the
that's what they're
scientists
doing
that created
now.
it?
Yep.
And you know, here's another thing. I encourage everybody to do some research on the University of Mississippi. Understand that the DEA has been working with the University of Mississippi on a fingerprint identification program since the 1970s. Don't let them tell you that cannabis has changed. Wild hemp has tested up to 22% THC according to the DEA's website.
Right.
Cannabis isn't changed. People have just gotten more specific, picky. They have the luxury of growing any
They like
genetics
to
they
say
want.
that it's
They can
stronger
cultivate
now and
freely.
Oh yeah, that's a whole right.
We need to stop the rhetoric. We need to stop the propaganda. We need to team up with the industrialized hemp cannabis community, and we need to join hands, because look, if I'm getting rated for a plant that they don't know what it is, they're just making an example out of me to stop everybody else from doing this.
Well,
This
let's talk about that though.
Full on rating people right now.
You were running for office before all this happened, right? This was like a retaliation, as far as I'm concerned, to that. You want to talk a little bit and let people know about that?
Yeah, it does seem like a little bit of a coincidence, right? So in 2019, I decided to take some real action because I got tired of spinning the wheels, and I wanted to end cannabis prohibition and show people that I live in a farming state. Let's use industrialized hemp. Let's get farmers on the bandwagon. So I ran for state representative, and within months of announcing it, I was rated. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to run for Congress.
Right.
And literally within a month of announcing that, I was rated. And I was rated in June. And you know, there's not 12 hours of, that's going to be in my jury. So they're not 12 hours of light, which is significant. So why would they rate me in July or June, whatever I said? Because that was the last date they could get me on the docket before we voted.
Wow.
I got on the docket on a Friday, and the elections were on a Monday or something like that.
It's a little too much of a coincidence, you know, with everything that you just mentioned. That doesn't sound kosher to me at all.
Yeah, why would a judge sign for another raid after you raided me and wasted all those resources and seized absolutely nothing? And then they seized nothing again besides plants. There was no marijuana, there was no money, there was no paraphernalia, there was no drugs.
Right.
There was nothing besides these alleged plants. And apparently these 2-foot plants were spotted a month before when the National Guard flew over my house. They had flown over my house like 30, 40 times.
How big did you say these were?
My cousin
when
was
they
here
got
and
them?
she heard them, and they hide.
You said they were this big when you got them?
She was asking how big. How big
The alleged plants. How big were the alleged plants? Like
2 foot tall.
So a month, they would be. How is a helicopter gonna spot that from the sky?
By using allegedly high telescopic lenses, which are totally unconstitutional because you have a reasonable expectations of privacy.
Wow.
If you saw the naked video of me, there's a point in it you can't even see my face because they have zoomed so far in to another area that you're like, okay, hold on.
Why are
Wow.
they
Like, why are
doing
we
that?
doing this?
Why? What are they
Wow.
looking for there?
A show.
They should be getting rape charges or sexual
So
assault.
I did went with a sex advocate and went to the police department to file and make a complaint. And it was the arresting officer. And I asked for a female officer, and he said he has the ability to do both of his jobs. And they did an internal investigation. I also filed a complaint against the jail because they let the door open naked when I was naked in front of a bunch of people. Anyways, they investigated themselves and found no wrongdoing. I even reported it to the Attorney General, Eric Schmidt. He wrote me back and said he found no wrongdoing, and I have to report it to the FBI. So that's literally where I'm at. Now I'm scared of retaliation because I'm about to file a complaint
Right.
against the local sheriff's department, the jail, the National Guard, the federally funded dual task force, the Mustang Drug Task Force. Like, this is scary, right?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I've been called to jury duty. I sat in front and I was summoned. I get up there and it's my judge. And I told the judge, you know, you probably don't want me up here. You got a case. I got a case in front of you.
Mhm.
He recuses himself. I get another judge. My husband just got a jury summons and he's on
Wow.
call between January and
What?
April, which is
Oh
the
my
time to go to jury
God.
trial. And I got a grand jury summons as well through all of this. So because I'm not a felon, I don't have a criminal record. I have like no arrests. I don't go to jail. I don't have a misdemeanor. I don't have anything. I get into prisons to interview pot prisoners.
Right.
I
Right.
speak about judicial reform because of this tyranny.
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly
Right.
what you're going
Right.
through. And I just
And-
commend you, girl.
and-
Like, for real.
And all of those things that you mentioned are human rights violations. It's just astounding, you
Yes.
know, because you're someone who is familiar with the system and knows how to stand up for herself. But what about all the others? You know, I mean, you know, if it happened to you, that this is more
You're right.
commonplace than.
You're right. I had a
you know.
bond out. Each of us had a bond out. I had a bond out because I have a medical condition. I have to take medication.
Mhm.
I found out it was $45 to get the medication, $15 a day to dispense it to me. And there was no medical nurse on call on the weekends. I have to take my medicine every single day.
Wow.
I had no choice but to bond out. A lot of people can't. I told you we didn't get counsel until 10 to 11 months into our case. That means we would have sat in jail the entire
Yeah.
time. People
Yep.
don't understand that. And so
They've
you're right. A
lost
lot of
their
people couldn't
house,
have-
their
and it was-
money, their cars, their
Mhm.
family at this point, all over a stupid plant that, oh my God, it just pisses me off.
It was a
don't
$9,000
realize it.
each bond.
Yeah, people don't realize it.
$9,000 bond. Right, which so, you know, most people today don't even have $500 available for an emergency.
Exactly.
Right, so never mind $900, they would be sitting in jail
Right.
all that time. And why is the United States allowed to continue doing this? These are human rights violations.
And it's a joke that we have to take their public defender if we don't have money. You should be able to find any lawyer and it should be paid if that's our constitutional right is to have somebody to fight for us, not somebody that fights for them to be supporting
Mhm.
us, because that's what we got right now.
Yes. And so I did file a motion with the judge. I was filing all sorts of motions because I didn't have an attorney.
You
So I
rock.
filed like 30, 40
Fucking
motions.
rock.
I got my discovery. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was just like
Right.
copying stuff from the internet. I'm like, I don't know. So the ACLU sued the state of Missouri and won. The Missouri Supreme Court ruled that wait list that we were on for 10 months was unconstitutional.
Right.
I took the ruling and I put our information in and I filed it. And the judge denied me because I said to her, you have three options. You can appoint us counsel. You can appoint us a public defender immediately. You can drop the charges. First off, that's what I asked for. Appoint us a public defender. And I said, thirdly, you can give us an attorney, any attorney in the state. You have the authority to do so. She denied our motion. And a couple of days later, Aaron and I both got private counsel. Private counsel, not public defenders, private counsel that we're not paying for, court appointed private counsel.
Okay.
Wow.
And so, and then I also filed for my violation for my right to a speedy trial, which is 180 days in the state of Missouri and 70 days on a federal level, which is your constitutional right. It was denied that because the judge said that your speedy trial is only for the incarcerated. which is like
Oh my
crazy.
God, and that's
Is that what
bullshit.
is that what it says? It's only for the incarcerated?
That's the way my judge interpreted it. And so I was
See, what it
denied.
is
So like,
they won't go against their buddies. And this is what I talk about all the time. I understand that there's good judges, good cops, bad cops, good lawyers, bad lawyers. Yeah, okay. But when good people are watching the bad ones do it and continue to let them do it and don't call them out on it, that makes them just as bad as the bad ones. So in my book, they're all bad if they're not reporting it and not
Yeah.
telling people.
Absolutely.
so this is the solution is
Mhm.
every single person that I've mentioned, from the prosecutor to the district attorney to the judge to your elected, your sheriff, they're all
Mhm.
elected. Stop
Right.
electing the same
Yes.
people.
Well,
What are we
Exactly.
doing? Oh, I don't
Mhm.
vote. Why?
do you know?
Why
Yes.
not?
Do you know
Oh, I don't sit on jury trial.
Arkansas? Everyone always says is a red state, right? It's not true. It's a non-voting state.
Right.
Like less than 30% of people in Arkansas vote. So it's not a red state. We don't know what it is, right? And so this apathy that we see here, we're seeing, I'm sure, in Missouri and everywhere else. And nothing is going to change until we all vote and
Exactly.
vote in people who are really going to work for us.
And that's why they push
Better
on
yet-
us that voting don't matter,
Mhm.
voting don't, you get that pushed on you all the time. No, voting matters, and get out and do it, because if you don't, then these people are going to keep getting into office.
Mhm.
And the only way that we can stop it is to vote.
Better yet, can we all run for office? Like, how
Right.
hard is it to run for county? Do you know county clerk? Do you know what your county clerk does?
Infiltrate
Mhm.
the government.
No, do you know what our county clerk does?
No, what does the county clerk do? I don't know.
Right.
actually.
It is the best and most amazing position. It's an elected position and you get paid to do it. You just run the voter registration information. You register people to vote.
Wow.
Run for county clerk.
Yes.
Right.
Like, how hard is that? Be that voice. Go to
Right.
the schools, encourage children to vote when they're adults. Go and talk to seniors and be like, you 17, you 18, let's get you registered to vote.
Right.
Like, be that person, be that voice. Talk about ballot initiatives. Why not?
Right.
Why not infiltrate that way?
Yes.
On
Yes.
such a
Infiltrate the government.
neutral position.
Wow, I did
Just
not
watch.
realize that.
That's all
It's
they do.
very good information, and yes, and more women need to run.
Please.
You know,
Right.
I think women often think they won't make it, or it's too much in the family or whatever. We've supported our male counterparts through these things, so we definitely need, we've been letting the men make these decisions for a long time. How about
Right.
we take a turn?
We need more women for sure. We do.
Oh,
More
I agree.
compassion. They say that's weak, but it's not. It's compassion is a big thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that more, if we get more women involved in it, then there's going to be more compassion involved, and you're not going to see all these freaking things going on that are crazy.
Mhm.
I don't know, a touch of empathy maybe.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
But it's also time to stop with the rhetoric, to stop with the propaganda, and
Mhm.
really to use a science-based approach going forward. And that's really what I plan on bringing to the table in my jury trial. Look, in a case, like I watched a federal case where I watched a DEA agent who was an accountant, get up there and talk about it. And I did finance. That's what my degree is. And I was like, oh my gosh, we can use this.
Right.
Because finances don't lie. And I worked with the defendant, and we got this amazing strategy that we were able to use back because I was aware. So there's also witnesses that our expert witnesses that we could use, and that you may think they're on the other side, but if we use science, like I have full on intentions of bringing Dr. Muhammad to
Hell
the
yeah.
stand in my case from the University of Mississippi. He is a federally funded,
Right.
he gets money for this.
Mhm.
He's testified in thousands of DEA
Awesome.
federal cases. Why can't I have him testify in my case?
Right.
I want him to look at it and tell me that he could look at this marijuana and tell me what the THC percentage
Right.
is, or tell me that it was a controlled substance. Why not bring him in? Like, I
Right.
don't understand. And so I want to bring scientists. I want to bring people who specialize in the hemp industry. I'm also obviously going to use a medical necessity defense.
Mhm.
Because, sometimes like if you comply with the law, it causes more harm and damage to
Yes.
you.
And that's
Then
just
it does
it, because they win these cases and then they use them against the next person. Like,
Yes.
it's crazy.
When you say so medical necessity, you're because you personally need it for your own medicine and it's not available to you otherwise.
Right.
In the quantity that you need and in the quality that you need.
I've been a medical marijuana patient since, wow. I voted yes for Prop 215 in 1996. I was 19 years old. It was the first time I voted.
Hell yeah.
Dr. David Allen has been my universal doctor. I say universal because I've traveled the world with him. And we've talked about, I got him to study thyroid conditions and Graves' disease and understand how cannabis affects and influences us. And he has, and he's an amazing doctor. He is not a practicing doctor, but he is trained and he still has all the medical teachings.
Right.
Sure.
And that's still, like, just because Kamala Harris took his license to practice away doesn't mean that he lost all of his educational
Right.
requirements to be a
Exactly.
surgeon and do open heart surgery, like,
Mhm.
yay, this administration. I say that, folks, because I don't know if you guys are watching, you ladies are watching. Are you seeing that the DEA is hooking up with the state of California, the state of Oregon, the
Yes.
state of Washington? They are raiding like there is no tomorrow.
Right.
They have to use the DEA in California because anything under 1,000 plants is a misdemeanor
Yep.
for cultivation. So they got the DEA involved, and anything over 1,000
Yep.
plants for the DEA, that's federal charges.
Listen,
Yep.
any
See this conundrum?
administration who is focused on the plant still is out of touch.
I agree.
And it's really, really sad and unfortunate that that's the case.
I
And so
feel
how do
they
we
know
solve
they're
this
so
issue?
close to it being not illegal that they're trying to get as much property as much, because y'all, they take their house, their car, their everything. Like, they just take it. It's mine now.
Mhm.
And
Over
I think they're
over our
doing it.
precious plant.
Yes,
Right.
trying to hurry up and get as much money out of that as they can, because they know that money is fixing to not be available anymore.
So do you know what they do when they do that? So they do a smash and grab, and they go in and they seize everything, and they don't press any charges.
Right.
And if they don't press any charges, they don't get to fight it in a criminal court.
Right.
You don't get to
Because it's
fight it
not a
in a
case.
criminal court. You have to go to civil court.
Yep.
In order to go to civil court, you have to pay for your own. You don't get a public defender. You have to prove that wasn't drug proceed money. So
Right.
they're not charging anybody. They're just taking everything.
Yes.
So did you know that the DEA is self-funded by asset forfeiture?
Oh,
Fully funded by asset
that's
forfeiture?
crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
Did you know
Well, that incentivizes them to seize. That seems very.
It very much does. So,
Yes.
and did you know that our immigration detention facilities are owned and operated by ICE?
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Did you know that you could buy stock in a private prison
I did
and
know that.
your judge's retirement and stocks are bought in prisons?
I didn't know
Tell
that.
me.
Yeah.
I did know that
actually.
that all our prisons are privately run, and that is just
Mhm.
crazy. Like, that's a whole nother issue. Like, we can go on and on for
once
days.
that happened, there's no turning back. They have to
Yes.
defund that to.
So what they've done,
make
and
any
I'm
real
glad,
changes.
and I'm glad you mentioned that. And they pretend to touch bases on this, and this is why doing like an elective order, like an executive order, tends to be bad. So, okay, what ends up happening is a president gets in and goes, you know what? Because we have a lot of federal prisons that are privately owned. You know what? These private prisons, these are bad. We're not going to fund these private prisons anymore, but we can't cancel them because they're in a contract, right? But we're not going to fund them anymore. Now, here's what happens. Okay, cool. The next president comes in, removes that executive order and goes, no way. And in that meantime, they renew the contract for, do you know how long private prisons contracts are for?
Well, how long?
I don't know.
like 50 years to 90 years.
Oh my
with long
God.
contracts. So they come in and they keep renewing them. That's why executive orders are crap, because if it doesn't go through our legislative body, it's
Right.
not law.
Right.
Exactly.
It's temporarily law for 4 years until, or 8.
When I was growing up, I don't remember presidents coming in and signing a million executive orders. Like that
Right.
seemed to start happening. I don't remember which president it was, but do you remember that? I just, maybe I was too
it
young and
Clinton?
blocked it out. I don't know, but I just don't remember that until I was an adult, really.
Right.
Yeah, because it's an overreach of their own executive power.
Wow.
Yeah. I think one of the easiest and most simple solutions to stopping this bureaucracy and stopping the left versus the
Tear
right.
it all down and
being-
rebuild it.
More than that, why didn't we go back to something that really worked? Why
Right.
doesn't the first and second most elected officials become the president and vice president?
Right. And they shouldn't be able to run as long as they do. Like,
Okay, here's something you should think about, and here's a loophole. So you're elected, your vice president is no longer an elected official, but your vice president doesn't have to, can be not a US citizen because they're not elected. So
right.
if you have a vice president who's from another country and you die, we now have what? A conundrum, because you have somebody who could not be an American citizen as a VP,
Mhm.
who
Right.
could now technically be the vice or be the president. So why don't we just go back to the ones with the most votes wins? You can end up with a Republican and a Democrat. Who
Right.
cares?
Mhm.
I think it's
The
great.
the most popular vote or the most electoral votes? The most, right? That's a whole
Right.
other,
Yeah, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't it just 1-to-1? Why is it all these
Right.
like 300 and something for one? It's like crazy. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, there's just so many injustices
It
inherent
is.
in our system. It's hard to unpack it all and say, where do we start making these changes,
Right.
and then someone like you gets caught in those crossfires, really,
Yes.
and the corruption that underlies them all,
Well, that's why you ladies are doing what you do, and you're getting out there and you're talking about it. And if I could throw some things and some ideas out there, like, that an inmate can call you.
Right.
You can go live with them on the phone. You can put their photo up.
For
You
sure.
can talk to an inmate. You can personalize the story, ask what it is that they want and that they need.
I know that you and Carrie deal with a lot of those. And yes, I mean, send them my way, send them our way, and I'll pass it on to Wendy and Joe too. Joe, already Joe does.
Yeah, they
Craig
do
Cecil.
that on Cup of Joe
Right.
as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Have them call, have them come on, have them write letters to you. But
For
the more you
sure.
personalize it with people, the more they're going to know their stories. Because everybody asks me, well, how much did you have? Did you have guns? Like, what kind of drugs did you have? I hear it over and over again. Why didn't you have your card?
Mhm.
Right. And
I was
also,
reading in the middle of the pandemic, right? Like,
Right.
the governor shut the state down.
Mhm.
You do know
Right.
the only place for me to get a medical marijuana card was a vape lounge, a
Oh my
tobacco
God.
shop, and a sex shop. That's it. I had to go to a sex
Wow.
shop to get safe access for a
like the
controlled
little
substance.
old
And that makes
lady
it
from
legal.
around the corner is going to want to go to a sex shop to get her medicine. Are they crazy?
And they're smoking in there. They're smoking, they're vaporizing.
Because they don't think of it as medicine. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really an underlying problem
Yeah.
to the whole thing.
And I'm not the criminal.
Right.
You're not.
Mhm.
You definitely are not.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you standing up and
Yes.
fighting.
And you're right. You're right on it. You're right there. This is about patience.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. I probably talked
Oh,
enough.
you're fine.
No,
So-
you're good.
So if
Anytime.
people want to come for court support, you're going to be making an event that they can, sign up for and kind of track. If you'd like to make, I'm sure Candis Dyer can make her public figure page and mine also host, so it'll show up on the other pages.
sure.
I always tell people they're welcome to do that. Wendy Love Edge, public figure, and Candis Dyer. And so just to have more reach, it'll
Girls,
show
I
up
plan
there.
on doing some crazy stuff. I want to put billboards up. I want to get yard signs, justice for the wisdoms, drop all
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
charges. Like, I
And-
plan on doing, like, I asked the court already how far away I have to be there with the sign. What am I allowed to do? How am I allowed to do it?
Right.
They already know. Everyone's like, your attorney is horrible. Why aren't they telling you to shut up? Have you not heard me for the last 20 years?
Right.
Do you think there's
telling.
anything that I'm saying different that I
Right.
haven't said for the
Exactly.
last 20 years? I mean, come on.
Right.
Why would I shut up now? I'm not guilty. I'm not a
And they're
criminal. I've done
using her
nothing wrong.
Facebook against her too. So if any of y'all have,
90% of
yeah, if y'all have any education stuff, put it,
Please
tag her
post
in
it.
it, post it all in it so they can learn through their
Mhm.
investigating.
Mhm.
Yes, and I want to bring NIDA. I'd like to subpoena NIDA, National Institute of Drug Abuse, and the National Institute of Health that have that are responsible for why cannabis is on the Controlled Substance Act. And
Mhm.
in the meantime, all of the studies they've been doing about the benefits of cannabis and CBD, I'd like to absolutely bring them in.
Right.
I mean, after all, they've had THC eye drops that they used on Robert Randall
Right.
since the 70s,
Mhm.
for crying out loud.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really want to bring real scientists in and have them be like a botanist. The county commissioner is supposed to have a botanist on board. So I plan on bringing all of them in, and
Right.
we're going to use science.
Nice.
So,
That's the thing with education and your voice. You know, you can go pretty far. But yeah, it's
For
crazy.
sure.
I'm so sorry this all happened. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, my heart
Well,
goes out to you for sure.
well, we don't need to stop. You know, the Department of Justice said that marijuana arrests are down, but to every 90 seconds,
Right.
someone is arrested for cannabis.
Exactly.
So
They're
that's not
not,
down enough for me. And so we really
and
need
they
to
are
just
releasing
kind
a
of,
few, but they're not releasing very many at all. So it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Mhm.
well, thank you, ladies. I really appreciate it. Keep up
You
the good
always
fight.
are
And
welcome. Whenever your next change of court date comes up, if it's a change, hit me up. We'll get you on and to talk about it some more and keep everybody updated with your case and stuff.
And you're going to be on the Wendy Love Edge show in January. We're starting a new season in January, and I'm excited to chat with you about your story and
Heck yeah.
again, just get it out there so more people can connect with you and hear what's happening.
well, I really appreciate it. And, you know, I just want to give a shout out to like all the organizations that are finally advocating for pot prisoners. I just want to remind them that the money that they're collecting isn't for them, that it's for the pot prisoners. And we'd
Right.
like to see it go back to them.
Exactly.
A $2 million budget can go a far way for some of our incarcerated brothers and sisters.
Right.
It'd be really nice for these organizations to step up and put their money where their mouth is. And
Gotcha.
I'd also like to see some people advocating for people who are getting arrested and going through this, because look, yeah, I'm seasoned and I understand what I'm going through, but that didn't mean that it got me at my knees, and that didn't mean that I had to go. I still had to go to my doctor and ask for mental health and mental
Right.
support,
Mhm.
because I was, you know, subjected to a sex crime in addition to being raided and arrested.
And then
So
told
give
it
love
wasn't
and
a sex
respect.
crime.
Yeah, so give love and support to the people that are going through this, and just shout out to Carrie Cannon
Oh,
Yes,
for
we
being the
love Carrie.
one person that advocates for people prior to getting arrested.
Right.
And you know, her call to actions are great. And I just want to thank everybody who's held a sign up to drop all charges and justice for the wisdoms, because believe it or not, it matters.
It
And the
does
judge is
matter.
going to see it.
Mhm.
And when she sends it into the court, it's going to get submitted into evidence, and the jurors are going to see it.
Amen.
Mhm.
And they're going to know that there's love and support and people that are advocating
Right.
on our behalf. So just thank you all, and ladies like you, for getting out there and talking about it. I do want to say that when it comes to compassion, it just seems to be the ladies I'm always giving shout outs
Aw.
to. So yay
Well,
for the matriarch.
We love you, Adela.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on. And I hope you have a wonderful night, and hit me up for real, seriously, whenever the next update comes on, and we'll
You
get
as
you
well.
on.
Thank
Yes,
you.
for sure. We'll chat soon. Take care, Adela.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I am putting her in the waiting room.
She's amazing. My goodness. It's hard, you know, when you're facing that. I can't imagine the stress and the fear, and
She's a
but
warrior.
she's putting it into the power. You know, we
Yes,
love that. Don't we, Candace?
Yes, yes.
You put it into the power, you know. You can stop and cry for a few minutes and feel sad and sorry for yourself, but then you got to pick yourself up,
Yes.
reach out to the people who can help you, and find your own strength too, because nobody's gonna really do it for you. You have to really work at it, you
For
know?
sure. And there's going to be millions of people watching her and saying, if she can do it, then I can do it. And we just got to
Mhm.
start fighting these cases. Yes, it costs money.
Yes.
Yes, it's hard. Yes, you might end up in jail for a while, but fight them, because when you don't, you're hurting a lot of people, because they're taking your
Mhm.
case and they're using it against other people. And
Yes, for sure, you know. So bless her for all that strength, my gosh. um,
for sure.
and this, you know, there's so many like her too that are really pushing, and there are organizations who are helping people who are pushing for court support, like the Human Solution International, like Carrie Cannon, um, and uh, and sometimes I think people just need to know that there are organizations and individuals out there that
Yes.
will help you and will support you.
They care
And
about
Candace
you,
is,
even if you were
yes,
charged with the cannabis case. They don't believe you should have that.
right, right. When we say no one should be in jail for a plant, it means no
No
one.
one. Yes.
Right. So yeah, right. Like she was saying, people were asking her, well, how much did you have on you? And why
Right.
didn't you have a card? And well, all those things have been put into place. You know, they're not the way it should be. That's what
Right.
I believe. I think, you
Exactly.
know.
And that's where jury
Yeah.
nullification comes in. And we got to teach people, you can say not guilty. Don't let that judge
Mhm.
scare you into saying guilty. If you don't believe that person is guilty for a cannabis crime, say not guilty. Get them off.
Mhm.
One person
Yes.
can be a jury hero.
Right. Right. You know, because I mean, on the other side of it, you know, someone is being sent to prison for 20, 30 years for a plant, their whole life is disrupted. They have didn't see their kids grow up, or
Yes,
they missed their death of their parents or whatever. You know, they're coming back into a world that they don't recognize. This is just completely unjust and inhumane for over a plant.
definitely. Definitely. Well, I know we're
Yeah.
coming up on 8:12, and
Oh
I
my
could
goodness.
talk to
Wow.
you forever. I could talk
I
to her
didn't
forever too.
realize
Yes,
it
it
went
doesn't
by
seem
so
like,
fast. Oh my
yeah, it
gosh.
it doesn't seem at all like it's been an hour. But I so look forward to
Mhm.
season 6. And one more time, how do they find the show and WJAE 420 radio?
Yes, so you can watch the show. Probably the easiest thing to do is go to YouTube, the Wendy Love Edge Show channel. You can see all the shows there, and the show is the video version starts on there as well. So on our promos, you'll see all the other places you can watch, but YouTube definitely, all the podcasting formats, WJAE420.com, or you can listen to WJA 420 on the relevant app in that vibe. So
Awesome.
there's lots of places to watch and listen, and we really hope you enjoy the new remix. It's
Yes,
going to be
I'm
lots of fun.
excited to see how the Blazy Bunch turns out, or whatever we're calling it. I'm not even sure, but it's gonna be
I know.
fun.
I love that you found that graphic that
I
said the
know, it
Blazy
just
Bunch.
popped up on my feed, and I'm like, yeah, that's funny. Like it just, you know what I mean? Like, okay, Facebook, like, okay.
Oh yeah,
But
they're always listening.
yes, we were just talking about it, and then all of a sudden it pops up. It was crazy. But I wanted to give a big thank you, speaking of WJAE 420 Radio, for sponsoring Canna Corner. They replay it every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and
Mhm.
KM 420 Radio every Sunday at 2. And a big shout out to our sponsor, Go Green, the Human Solution International, and Relevant. Thank y'all all so much for your love and support. And I guess we're going to go. Y'all have a wonderful
Okay.
week. Bye,
Thanks
Wendy.
so much, Candace. Bye bye.
Y'all have a great day.